Hey there everyone, welcome on into VG Emporium, video game music and more. I'm your host Rage Cage, and today we got us some more special orders from you, the listeners. Yes, so if you're new to the show, how this works is that a special order is basically a song request, and once I get enough of them, like 5 or 6, I'll do its own dedicated episode like this here today. And you can get them to me either through the Discord, which you can find linked in the show notes, as well as the email vgemporium@gmail.com, or on any of the social medias under at VG Emporium, so Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And now with that out of the way, let's get into these orders. Starting off with this one coming from Jam Virtuattak, and it was Pastmaster from Swat composed by Tomoyuki Hamada. And this here is another case of a really good soundtrack being tied to a not so great tie-in game. I mean, what does it say when a game that comes out a year after the show it's based off is already off the air, and not only that, but the publisher, Hudson Soft America branch, is closed shortly after the game's release? Not a lot, but again, the standouts here are the soundtrack, as you can tell with this track here, which actually is a highlight for the soundtrack, as well as the visuals to a point. But, I'm realizing I skipped over, something important here is, what exactly is SWAT Kats? For those that may not know, it was an animated series that came out in 1993, alongside Two Stupid Dogs, and those two are forever linked in my head because I saw one and then the other, and it was a kind of cool juxtaposition where Two Stupid Dogs obviously is kind of a comedy thing where two dogs, very stupid, doing very stupid dog things, and then SWAT Kats is kind of like this cool, extreme, edgy, and one of the main characters says crud a lot. I mean, somebody saying crud in a cartoon? I mean, what? Yes, SWAT Kats is about the Radical Squadron, which is made up of T-Bone and Razor, and they are vigilantes that fight many a foe in Mega Cat City. It's called Mega Cat City with a K. Oh yeah, everybody's cats. Did I mention that? Oh yeah, everybody are anthropomorphic cats. But yeah, they were former enforcers of the military police of Mega Cat City, but now they are, vigilantes. They fly the Turbo Cat, and they fight all kinds of crazy villains. Like here, the Pastmaster, which is a bony-looking cat dwarf man with a clock that can control time and do kind of crazy things. And of course we have other villains like Dr. Viper, the Metallic Cats, Mad Cats, and the last boss, Dark Cat. Sensing a theme here, and each one is a boss of their own stage, and some of the stages are based on the episodes that they're from, and then in some of the stages you fly the Turbo Cat. Those should be the coolest parts, but they're not. Weird Mode 7 stuff going on that's very disorienting. So yeah, again, this game, not so great, doing some interesting things, like a level up system. Yeah, but yeah, the probably the only good parts about this game are, somewhat the visuals and the soundtrack. And there's actually a few really good renditions of the main SWAT Kats theme. There's the opening theme, and then the ending theme is actually really cool. They kind of slow it down, do some really nice embellishments and stuff, but it's definitely worth a listen. And as I mentioned, this song right here is definitely the highlight of the soundtrack in my opinion. That middle section and the section towards the end, especially, really good stuff. And hey, if you're at it, why don't you just check out the show? You can find clips or even episodes on YouTube or, however you want to find these things. And yeah, it's kind of a fun little watch. Some episodes are good, some episodes are kind of animations, up and down. I mean, for example, Mutation City, which is the first episode of season 2, is surprisingly really good. And, you don't have to watch these in order. They're mostly one-shots, though. There is somewhat of a continuity going on, with some of the villains' stories and their stories and, characters getting introduced. But yeah, go to town on it. And also, there is, I guess, a new one coming out, not a reboot, but a continuation, I guess, called SWAT Kats Revolution coming up here, I guess this year or next year. So something to watch out for. So now this brings us to Tomoyuki Hamada. And, after I tell you a bit about him, it's going to explain why the music in this might be so good. To start, he was one of the founding members of Tease Music that has done so much music for so many games across different companies and different platforms. One of their first credits being the Sega Genesis version of Flicky, and then their latest credit being WarioWare Move It on the Switch, with at least 200 games between these two titles. Now as for Tomoyuki himself, his first credit in 1992 was Dragon Knight 2 on the TurboGrafx CD. He also had a hand in Super Bomberman and Bonk's Adventure. Then jumping ahead a bit, we got Dokusei 2, Blue, Legend of Water, Super Robot Tyson 64, Shimagami Tensei, Devil Children, Kuro no Sho, and Aka no Sho. Ports of Shimagami Tensei 1 and 2 on the Game Boy Advance, Grow Lancer, Wayfarer of Time, Kira Kira Pop Princess. And then just ended off here, he was sound producer for Corpse Party Blood Drive, and Corpse Party Book of Shadows. And he of course has many other credits I did not list here. He does have a few that are for voice casting for games like Steins Gate, as well as writing lyrics and, a theme or two for some other titles. And with that, I'd like to thank Jam Virtuattak for their order, and we're going to get into our next one, this one coming in from Pocket Eleri. This is Sky Babylon, Acts 1 and 2 from Sonic Rush Adventure, composed by Tomoya Ohtani. and that was Sky Babylon, Acts 1 and 2, from Sonic Rush Adventure, composed by Tomoya Ohtani. This is special ordered in by Pocket Eleri, and I'm gonna be honest, I barely know anything about this game. The things I do know is that it is part of the Sonic Rush series, which the music on that was originally done by Hideki Naganuma, and you play as Sonic and or Blaze the Cat, who was a future cat, which was introduced in Sonic 06, which, you know, that's something right there, and you're on an adventure. I guess it includes seafaring parts in between the, you know, islands that you're going to go play the levels, which then you're going as fast as you can. 2D platforming stuff, and the main bad guy is a robotic pirate named Captain Whiskers, which was created by Alternate Dimension Robotnik, which I'm not going to say his name because, yeah, they could have thought of that name a lot better now, could they? But of course, you know, regular Robotnik Eggman is there, and shenanigans ensue, and that's really all I got for you. Though, unlike the, already mentioned Sonic 06, this one got some pretty dang good reviews, so I guess it's a pretty good game that I probably should check out at some point, which I can do with my Mio Mini Plus because the latest update a few months ago added Drastic, which is a DS emulator, and it has some pretty interesting workarounds for the dual screen and stylus thing, but might be interesting to try nonetheless. Now, as for the song, again, this is Acts 1 and 2, though it's, pretty much the same. The main differences are, like, the placements of some of the leads and how some of the sounds are sounding and, fun stuff like that. But the one thing I'd really like to point out is that it has that really nice buzzy pulse wave bass that was from Sonic Advance, which kind of makes sense because Ohtani did the music for Sonic Advance 3, and this game is, in a way, kind of like a continuation of that style, I guess, because, dimps, all that stuff. So that brings us to Tomoya Ohtani, which, yeah, he's been a Sega guy for quite some time, starting in 1999 with Choo Choo Rocket on the Dreamcast, then sound effects for Skies of Arcadia, and then of course starting his Sonic Adventure with Sonic Adventure 2, because basically from here on out he becomes like the main Sonic music guy. So we got like Sonic Heroes, the unforgettable Sonic 06, Sonic Unleashed, Mario and Sonic at the Winter Olympic Games, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, Sonic Colors, Sonic Generations, Sonic Lost Worlds, Sonic Runners on the Android, Sonic Forces, Sonic Runners Adventure on Android, and then his latest audio credit being Sonic Frontiers in 2022. But it's not all Sonic, because in between these Sonic games, we got things like Knight's Journey of Dreams, Super Monkey Ball, Step and Roll, sound effects for Fist of the North Star, Lost Paradise. We got arrangement credits on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, because who doesn't? Then we got Space Channel 5 VR, Kinda Funky Newsflash, and last one here, we got Phantasy Star Online 2. So yeah, our boy, Tomoya Ohtani, being the at least one good consistent in the Sonic series. So I'd like to thank Pocket Eleri for ordering this one in, and now we're gonna get into something a little, actually pretty dang different here. So we got a special order coming in from Crazy Goji, and this is Solar System, 8-bit, and this is an 8-bit version of the song Solar System from the album Love You by the Beach Boys, of all things. And this arrangement was done by Mr. J. Wilson. was Solar System 8-Bit, which was an arrangement of the song Solar System from the album Love You by the Beach Boys, and this is arranged by Mr. J. Wilson. And yeah, it kind of took me by surprise. I saw the Beach Boys and I listened to it. Didn't sound like anything I heard from the Beach Boys, and so I had to go look it up. And yeah, this is I guess during kind of like a weird time of like one of the guys in the band, and some really weird stuff going on. So congratulations, Crazy Goji. Not only did you make me listen to Beach Boys music, which I try not to do too much, but you also got me researching them. I found the actual song. And again, I would not be able to tell that it was actually a Beach Boys song other than, some parts where they actually do the usual like Beach Boys chorusing. But yeah, it's just like that late 60s kind of weirdness that happens when, musicians get a hold of some psychedelics possibly and get their minds expanded and get a little obsessed with the cosmos. So now this arrangement, it says 8-bit, but it's like, 8-bit in the sense that it uses the simple waveforms, like, you hear some square wave, a little bit of sawtooth, the noise and stuff. This was made in, I guess, beatbox, and Mr. J. Wilson actually did the entire album as well. So not just this song, but the entire album of Love You by the Beach Boys, all in beatbox, which, if you're not familiar with it, it is a browser-based music-making software where it's based on, making, simple chiptune sounding music, and you have like a piano roll, you have sidebar, which either, simple, wave generators, all the way up to like synthesizers that emulate, FM, like Sega Genesis stuff, or even sample-based stuff, depending on which one version, because there's so many different versions of these dot box music arranger things. So there's beatbox, there's jumpbox, there's ultrabox, so many different boxes with so many different functionalities for all the different kind of music things you want to do, which there is a lot, and I mean a lot, of really good digital fusion being made with these box, browser-based music making program things. And so about Mr. J. Wilson, all I can really find on them is their YouTube channel. And this album, this 8-bit version of this album they did, is the first set of videos they've uploaded. And they seem to have a somewhat of an obsession with the Beach Boys, because he's done a few other, like another of their albums, as well as custom mixes, not only for the Beach Boys, but for songs by Miles Davis and a few other, like, kind of like 70s era music, as well as re-renditions or alternate versions of albums or songs. And yeah, that's all that's really on there. And I'll be linking their YouTube in the show notes if you'd like to, take a look. It's kind of interesting. So thank you again, Crazy Goji, for ordering this one in. And, for folks that don't know about Crazy Goji, he is also a musician, does a lot of digital fusion, and he was also a guest here on VG Emporium not too long ago. I mean, episode 117, we were talking about techno VGM. So definitely check that out, as well as check out Crazy Goji himself. I'll be linking all the places you can find his music in the show notes. So now we're going to keep the remix train going here with the next order coming in from Martyrus, host of ReVGM Podcast, and his order is Solar Inferno Solar Man Stage Remix by Koki Remix, and this is originally from Mega Man 10, composed by Yasuaki Fujita. That was Solar Inferno, Solar Man Stage Remix, remixed by Koki Remix, originally from Mega Man 10, composed by Yasuaki Fujita. Special ordered in by Martyrs, who is host of ReVGM, which is a podcast focused on arrangements and remixes of video game music, as well as being a guest on here a couple times, episode 64 and 115. And so, I haven't really played this game much. Like, the only time I really played it was shortly after it came out at a friend's place. But I have listened to the music quite a bit, and this remix here pretty much sticks really close to the original, just re-instrumentation, the guitar, everything. And that's Koki Remix's goal, to kind of keep it as close to the original, but while also expanding it with the newer sounds, making it sound a little bigger. So more of a re-instrumentation, yeah. And it's really well put together. And I'm looking at it, their Koki Remix's videos, and it looks like the earliest one is from 11 years ago, which is a BGM from GKO Powerful Professional Baseball, and the production on that one is pretty dang good, which, to give some context, this remix for Solar Man's theme was released 2 months ago. So yeah, over that 11-year period, its production has just gotten tighter and tighter and tighter, and they've been releasing 2 to 5 remixes a month. So you take that, there's 12 months in a year, that's a lot of freaking remixes every year, and a good majority of them are from the Mega Man Battle Network series, with some ZX, X, as well as classics spread throughout, and there's Pokemon, more of the GKO Power Baseball. Yeah, it's a lot of freaking music, and you definitely should check it out. I'm going to be linking their YouTube, SoundCloud, all the other sites in the show notes. And before we get into Yasuaki Fujita, I want to talk a little bit about this game. Again, I've only played a little bit of it, but I've read some of the story, and it's a little wacky. We get Robo-Enza has infected many robots, and some of them have gone rogue, and of course, Mega Man has to go beat them. Wily says, "It wasn't me, I got a cure here, but they stole it," so you go and do that, but then, of course, you beat all the Robot Masters, and
oh no, that dastardly Dr. Wily! He the one who made the Robo-Enza, made all the robots sick, so they have to come work for him to get the cure!
And so, of course, either as Mega Man, Proto Man, or Base, somehow get their hands on a little bit of that cure, go fight him, and then, they'd feed him, and turns out he has influenza, they take him to the hospital, and then he escapes. Silly, silly times. And speaking of silly, we got our Robot Master here, Solar Man, whose job, before the Robo-Enza hit, was as a researcher for artificial sunlight. And you can imagine, his stage is an artificial sun that floats over a city, I guess. And so, without taking any wild guesses, you can imagine, his power is creating ultra-high temperature artificial sunlight, which then he can use to blast his enemies, which this takes the form of a giant blazing ball that launches from his head. But before, going all crazy with the virus and stuff, he was just, like I said, a researcher, so he's cooped up in a lab, and so he creates this workout called the Solar Workout Plan, which was starting to get quite popular before, the virus shenanigans started. So yeah, this game, after, Mega Man 9, is part of that whole modern retro kind of craze that was going on in that late 2000s, early 2010s, where it was made to look like the classic NES Mega Mans, though it was doing some things that the original hardware couldn't pull off, though the music, all done with either Family Tracker or MML, is authentic to the, original NES sound. And the cool thing is that it wasn't just one composer, it was a whole group of different composers that had done music for Mega Man games throughout the years, not just for this one, but for Mega Man 9 as well. And this brings us to Yasuaki Fujita, who was the accidental mastermind for the soundtrack of Mega Man 3, because originally it was going to be Harumi Fujita, which there was no relation there other than the fact that they had the last name and were both composers at Capcom. And Harumi was originally going to be doing the soundtrack for Mega Man 3, but then she ended up having to, take home leave because of her pregnancy. So Yasuaki, under the alias of Bun Bun, was tapped to do the soundtrack for Mega Man 3. But before Mega Man 3, his first project was Final Fight, though he was uncredited on that one. Then Mega Man 3, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Buster Bros, Mega Man 4, Disney's Darkwing Duck, and then Breath of Fire. And then jumping ahead a little bit, we got the PlayStation versions of King of Fighters 95 and 96, was a sound designer for Blazing Star on the arcade. And then we have Bust-A-Move Pocket, Metal Slug First Second Mission on the Neo Geo Pocket, Magical Tetris Challenge, Final Fight 1 on the Game Boy Advance, Mega Man 10, Final Fight Double Impact in 2010. Then we got a few mobile games here, Trace the Puzzle, Water Flows, Tap and Carry, and Explosion Slime. And then his latest credit is Aztec Number on PC in 2018. Now, just a few more things on Yasuaki here. He was part of Alpha Lila, which was the in-house band for Capcom. And then after his time at Capcom, he formed the company First Circle, which did freelance music and sound production for other video game companies. And coming full circle here, Harumi Fujita was actually part of this group. Pretty cool stuff. So thank you, Martyrs, for ordering this one in. And actually, I accidentally did a double order for you because I saw you had made one. I was going to order for the next one, but it came in. So, hey, you got a special extra order here to pick up. though I'm not complaining because this one's actually pretty dang cool. So this is Firefield PC98 FM Remix, and this was done by Trojan Horse 711, and it's from F-Zero, originally composed by Yumiko Kanki and Naoto Ishida. That was Firefield PC98 FM Remix. It was arranged by Trojan Horse 711 and originally from F-Zero, composed by Yumiko Kanki and Naoto Ishida. And again, this was special ordered in my Martyrs. And yeah, this one's pretty dang cool because it's got me activated, because in the YouTube video, they have it playing in MSDP, which kind of looks like PMD, which is a program that runs PMD files, which PMD is a music coding language similar to MML, which was primarily used for PC98 as well as Sharp X68K. So yeah, I'm always impressed by people who can write in these music languages, because it's just, yeah, my brain just can't grasp it. Their Petaponal Serial MS had released a MML/PMD tutorial about a year or so ago. And, I've looked over it and, I can see it. It looks like pretty basic. It's pretty easy. It's just my brain just won't grasp it. So, yeah, kudos to everybody that can. And, yeah, this is definitely not Trojan Horse 711's first rodeo with PMD, because I see a few videos throughout their YouTube channel where they have done this, as well as some other formats. But a large majority of their music seems to be FamiTracker stuff. So a lot of VRC6, VRC7, N163, and some using Furnace interspersed throughout there. Like I saw one using the Wonder Swan WSG, which is pretty dang cool. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Definitely go check him out. I'll be linking his YouTube in the show notes. It's a lot of really good chiptune. And that's all I'll give you for this one, because it was just a nice little bonus. So again, thank you, Martyrs, for ordering this one in. And of course, you can check Martyrs out on his podcast, ReVGM, where again, he focuses on remixes and rearrangements of video game music. And like VG Emporium, it comes out every week, and he's only just a few episodes behind me, so there's like over 100 episodes of ReVGM for you to go check out. And I'd like to thank you all for coming into VG Emporium. And if you'd like to, put in a special order, you can send it on over to vgemporium@gmail.com or in the Discord, which is again linked in the show notes. And then of course you can find VG Emporium on all the different podcatchers: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, YouTube Music, as well as on TerraPlayer, which is a hub for all kinds of video game related podcasts. And then of course there is the main website, vgemporium.wordpress.com. Now as far as what I have planned for next week, well, another early episode's gonna get a sequel. This time it's gonna be Gems Jams, which was episode 3. We're gonna be doing Gems Jams 2, which a good number of the tracks I found thanks to the help of listener J-Look, who is a fellow Gems appreciator. There's gonna be very minimal chwarp and tinniness. It's gonna be a good time.